let's talk about Odin Customs and his transition from hand making. I mean, these are still handmade, but hand tools, hand mills, hand lathes to CNC. And I'm not an expert at any of this, but I've never made a knife and I've never used a CNC. But I will tell you a little bit about my understanding and a little glimpse into Kyle Odin moving towards a CNC process as kind of a little teaser here in this video, as we're going to have him back on the EDC hour very soon. It's my other live streaming channel where we can really dive into what it took for him to go from hand tools to CNC. Now, these are both prototypes. This is the first prototype Ripper, and this is the very first knife he ever shot out of the CNC machine. So I'm very honored to have both of these. I've been a fan of his for some time. Had him on the EDC hour, talked with him, and did a very, in-depth maker's spotlight video of him early on. I didn't even look up how long ago that was. Maybe a year, maybe less. I don't know. But these both came not from him directly, but from other people that had bought in these, came to me and are going to go off to my friend Anthony. One of them actually came with the tie pick. And if you're interested, I can do a quick little video on this later at some point, but it's really just a titanium toothpick in a little holder, and it flips around and it's pretty ingenious. So let me know if you would like to see more about this and the company that makes those. Because I do want to dive into that. I don't know if it's something anybody cares about. So let me put that off to the side. It's the tie pick from Daily Carry Company. All right, so let's just talk about this for a minute. This is the very first knife that he ever made on his CNC machine. There is no name. There's no nothing. Really, it's 5 5/8 long. It weighs 2.1 ounces with the sheath and the lanyard necklace. It's 3.1 ounces. I just think that this is really kind of a historic piece for an Odin fan, right? Recently, I was able to handle the Red Horse Knife Works Ronin original prototype, the very first one that Ed Kim ever made as a knife to actually sell. So it was very cool for me and just an honor to handle that knife, which coincidentally also belongs to Anthony, where these knives are shipping off to. So I just think this is very cool. It's small. It doesn't really fit in the hand great for me. So we zoom back out. But is it a useful tool? Sure, you could use it to cut open boxes and things like that. But it's not terrible for his first offering from a CNC machine. Now, this, I believe, is just a one-off. He never made any more of these. It was really just a test to see how the CNC machine worked, but it is something useful. And it's a completed item, a complete project. It's not just a piece of scrap metal. I mean, I'm sure it started as a piece of scrap metal that just came out as a square or a triangle or, something. He really made it something useful and worthwhile. Put in a little Kydex sheath, and, it's not a bad little neck knife if you're into that sort of thing. Okay. So let's put that off to the side and let's talk about the Ripper. This is actually out in production now. This is the, I believe it's the very first prototype that he made. It got sold. My buddy Anthony then reached out to the person who won it. I believe it was an auction or a lotto. I don't remember. Anthony reached out and got it from that original owner. So really, it's been from Odin, original owner, to me, and ultimately will go to Anthony, even though he owns it already. I get to just hang out with it for free. Woohoo! All right, so it's a little bit unique. It's a little different. It's a little Pikal style knife looking, right? And the Pikal is really not something I've ever really handled. The Pikal really has the blade up higher. I'm going to have some of those sent in to review just because I'm so curious about that style of knife. But this one, it's pretty cool. I don't know that it's super practical for EDC tasks. This is more of, I don't want to say a defensive tool, because if you're using a knife for a defensive situation, your day has really gone wrong. Like, so many things have gone wrong in your day that you're having the worst day of your entire life ever. If you have to resort to a knife as a defensive item. Okay. But that aside, this is going to do some work. This is going to do some damage. It deploys cool. Got the thumb studs on both sides. When I did the unboxing, I did talk about the pocket clip, and we'll zoom in on this. What's great about Odin Customs is he takes feedback really well. Some makers, I don't even want to say some makers. Most custom makers do generally take feedback. And my problem with this pocket clip is it needed a ramp on the deployment side. So up here on this side, it needed a ramp so that you could pull it out of your pocket a little bit easier. This one goes into my pocket super easy. You gotta kind of wiggle a little bit to get it out. I literally posted that unboxing video. I think the next day, Kyle reached out to me. He goes, dude, I totally forgot you told me about the pocket clip before. And he said he went and redesigned it. So I believe the production ones that are coming out today have a little bit more of a ramp there to come out of your pocket. There is also a flipper tab version. And at some point, Kyle is going to send me a production Ripper thumb stud and a production Ripper flipper so that I can compare and see where he's come from the prototype to the production. Now, these aren't production like Benchmade production. These are just what he offers as a final version, his production version, even though they're all handmade custom knives with the help of a CNC machine. Does that make sense? The jimping on here is super aggressive, almost sawtooth. For me, it's a little bit too aggressive. But again, that's just my take on things. Your mileage may vary, as they say. I think it's a cool knife. I don't know that I would own one. The shape doesn't appeal to me, but his story, him as a person, the quality, the craftsmanship is amazing to me. And that's why I would spend money with him. Heavy, deep milling inside on both sides. Not here on the lock. On the lock side, yes, but not on the lock bar. But up here at the top of the lock bar, above the lock bar, there's milling on that side as well. That's what gets you the weight reduction. This thing weighs in at 5 ounces exactly. So let's go through some of the specs just really quick. So closed is 4 and 15/16. Overall is 8 and 7/16. 3.6 inch blade with a 3.3 inch cutting edge. 0.022 behind the edge. The blade thickness is 0.161. It weighs in at 5 ounces, the same exact size as your D-cell battery. And it's 0.485 overall. Nice floating backspacer. He always kind of does the floating backspacers, even on his handmade customs. That's how he kind of started, which I appreciate. I just think it's a very cool, badass knife. And if you are making cool handmade customs, hand-tooled customs, and you step up to a CNC, all that really does, I don't think that's cheating. I've heard people say, oh, it's no longer handmade, it's this and that. No. It is still handmade. it just gives him more of it allows him to take his creative juices and put it more into something, because you can't really do all of that milling inside with hand tools. I mean, you can, but you can't. It just really opens up his ability to do cooler things with the CNC. It's still handmade. It's still coming from him. They're not coming off of an assembly line, so to speak, like at Benchmade or Boker or Foxknife, like any of these other mainstream production companies, Kubi, Spyderco. It's not cheating. It's still handmade. It's still hand created in his mind. It's still just as awesome, but it does a couple things. Allows him to be more creative because the CNC machine can do things that are much more difficult and almost impossible to do with hand tools. 2, it speeds up the production time so that you now can get these out in the hands of more people. That was the VC Edge interface. This is the Red Horse Knife Works Hellraiser. So I think the CNC is a great way to go as an option. Is it for every maker? Maybe not, because there's a big investment into getting the machine, getting the software, learning the software. You got to now be a computer guy. And if you're out in the shop with a grinder and a mill and a drill press making knives, maybe you're not super tech savvy. Then maybe you have to learn a whole new CAD program, computer-aided design program. Learning curve is going to be pretty tough on that. I've done CAD work before, not for making knives, but architectural design type work, things like that in my normal daily job. It took a while to learn the AutoCAD program. Now I can do a lot of stuff pretty quick, but early on, there was a learning curve, which slowed down my work, and it slows Odin down in that initial learning curve of being able to produce. But then on the backside, it dramatically speeds it up so that you can get these out to more people. Long story short, I think it's an awesome move for him, and I'm super excited that I get to be sort of involved in that process by sharing with you guys. So please go and check out my playlist over here. The Maker Spotlight video is the first video I did of him, and it really tells his story, where he came from, why he left his day job and started making knives and things like that. And yeah, we will definitely have him back on the EDC Hour, which I will put up over here. That's my live streaming channel with Alex over at the Watch and Cut channel. We get together every other Sunday night and talk and just have guests on, interview them, things like that. So please go check us out over there, and please go check out my Odin playlist. Have a fantastic day.